Welcome back to another World Cup fantasy video ahead of Matchday 6. We're now at the semi-final stage and I'll be talking about how I did in Matchday 5 and what I will do with the 10 eliminated players that I have. So I'm going to struggle to get an 11 out here, but I'll be discussing my transfer plan. So be sure to drop this video a like if you end up enjoying it or finding it useful. And also we're looking to push on towards 20,000 subscribers by the end of the Premier League season. So that'd be massively appreciated. But without further ado, let's get straight into this video. Goalkeepers have been a big issue for me throughout this tournament. In Matchday 4, I believe I had Alisson and Noppert. Both of them got 2 pointers. This time, they both got 1 pointers. I never expected a clean sheet from Noppert, but to be honest, I thought Alisson would, especially when Brazil went 1-0 up in extra time. But the way they approached the kind of second half of extra time was very mind-boggling, to say the least, because Brazil had the lead. There was no need for them to be so high up. Even players like Fred, for example, who are supposed to have defensive responsibilities, were just bombarding up the pitch. And I think Brazil maybe underestimate Croatia a little bit because they dominated the game. Brazil should have won by 2 or 3, but if you don't kill the opponent, they always have a chance, especially if you have the quality that Croatia possess, especially in the midfield. So it was a bit surprising to see Alisson not keep the clean sheet, especially given the circumstances. But looking at Noppert, I never really expected the Netherlands to keep a clean sheet, even if they went through. Argentina, I think, are the only country to have scored in every single game in this World Cup so far. And their attack, obviously, with Messi at the helm, is always going to cause problems. And the Netherlands, in my opinion, just didn't have a sniff for the majority of the game. Over the course of the 120 minutes, they probably had a 15 or 20-minute spell where they were the better team attacking. They changed formation and they changed system, putting 2 really tall forwards, and they caused a lot of problems. I think Argentina panicked a little bit too much, especially with the ridiculous, in my opinion, extra time added on towards the end of that game. But you have to give credit to the Netherlands. They never gave up, but defensively, I think they were always going to struggle against Argentina. When I look at the game against Ecuador early in the competition, I also said this. I think Ecuador dominated the game and probably should have gotten the victory there as well. But obviously, commiserations to Netherlands, and we'll hope to see even better from them in future World Cups. And obviously, for me, it's always a surprise to see a country as good as Netherlands in football never win a World Cup, but maybe one day it will happen. As for Noppert, though, as a 4-point family and option, it's a shame to see him go out in that way. But honestly, I never expected a clean sheet from him. Once again, the surprise really was Alisson and the way Brazil fumbled extra time. I've discussed this before, and I have been lucky with Eder Militao Matchday 4. Once again, it happened in Matchday 5. But to be honest, sometimes when a player comes off typically around 60 minutes, it actually is really beneficial. Now, he actually got subbed off very late on, I think around 100 minutes or something like that. But he came off just before Brazil conceded. So Militao banged that clean sheet. One issue that people experienced was Militao actually was showing 1 point. So when he came off and Brazil conceded, it showed and reflected that Militao lost a clean sheet as well. So people actually subbed him off, but then realized later on the points were updated and they had a 6-pointer from Militao on their bench. And I actually had a feeling this would happen because he still had his clean sheet points from Matchday 4, despite the fact that South Korea scored against Brazil. So I actually kept Militao and I subbed other players out from my team instead. And thankfully it did work. But honestly, the game should be much better. They should update the points instantly because it does confuse people, especially casuals who are not really going to have the time as well to just constantly be checking the points and seeing if they're reflected or not in the game. So I think that is definitely a big mistake from World Cup Fantasy themselves, but overall I think they have slowly turned things around throughout the competition. But a few kind of minor bugs like this and issues definitely does affect, I think, the engagement that people have with this game. But Eder Militao kept the clean sheet despite the fact that Brazil obviously conceded in the 117th minute, which was absolutely just unpredictable. And then moving on to the other defenders, I mean, let's not even talk about them too much. Guerreiro got subbed off around 50 minutes for João Cancelo. Portugal made 2 key changes at that stage, with Ronaldo also coming on. Portugal were poor in the first half without Ronaldo. They were poor when Ronaldo came on. I think they had chances, of course, Portugal. They had probably 2 or 3 really good chances, but so did Morocco, in my opinion. But they lacked that kind of final pass or that quality in the final third to kill off the game. But Morocco defensively, you have to give them credit. They've been fantastic in this tournament. And then we come to the final defender, and it's not really a big surprise here. Luke Shaw getting a 0-pointer against France, and I think England were the better team. With no bias attached, just being objective, I think England were the better team in most facets of the game. But once again, and this has been a kind of constant theme in this World Cup, it's not just about being the better team. You also have to take your chances, and in those crucial moments, how do you defend and how do you attack? I think France defensively are very suspect. That's why they conceded 2 penalties. But when you have players like Giroud, Dembele, Griezmann who pull the strings, you know, you can focus all you want on Mbappe and keep him quiet, but then you open up the spaces for the others. And I have to say, Griezmann ran the show. He was incredible in that match. And once again, France in those crucial moments, I think just about edged England, and that's why they got the victory. And football isn't just about having possession, being the better team. Sometimes it comes down to some other factors and composure, especially in those key moments. So that was the back line. Really, the only return came from Militao, which was very fraudulent and lucky, I do admit, but there you go. At least I got something from my backline. I don't know what to make about this one. So I transferred in Paqueta for Perisic on stream, but Perisic has gone through to the semi-finals and Paqueta is now knocked out. But I have to say, in the short term, I gained some points from that decision. Paqueta got the assist for Neymar's goal. So from that perspective, quite happy with it. Lucas Paqueta got a 5-pointer, which for a midfielder, I think is generally very good, especially at this stage of the competition. But then we look on to the other midfielders and it was quite poor in general. But Ziyech got 3 points. He got a key pass point, appearance point, and clean sheet point, and Ziyech is my favourite Moroccan attacker, better than Boufal, Amrabat, En-Nesyri, etc. But to be honest, you can make a case for every single one of them. I have to say though, Ziyech has been the most impressive in this tournament from a fantasy perspective, and I think that will continue. So at 7 million and below, I think he's a fantastic option for the last 2 match days. Then we've got probably one of the best midfielders in this tournament, Bruno Fernandes, who came very close to scoring against Morocco, but it wasn't meant to be for him and Portugal on the day. And I think Portugal were underwhelming. They had chances, but they still could have performed better. And I think it mainly comes down to how Morocco played. They stifled Portugal, and a lot of people are making comparisons between this Moroccan team and Greece in 2004 when they won the Euros. But I think this Moroccan team has a bit more flair and quality in the midfield in particular. But I have to say, if Morocco had a bit better quality in the final third in the box, really, in the opponent's box, I think they could score even more goals and put games to bed. But to be honest, the main focus is on the defensive structure, and that's what has got them this far in this tournament. I have to say the goalkeeper is exceptional. And then the final 2 midfielders, Phil Foden was very disappointing against France, but he also got into some very good positions and he wasn't found. And I think that was quite frustrating. Foden is probably England's best player on the ball, and if they could get the ball more to him, I think he could have caused more havoc for France, especially with the defensive frailties. But speaking of that, I have to say Bukayo Saka was the standout for England, and apart from Griezmann, probably the man of the match in that game, and you could also make a case for Lloris. I think Saka was exceptional, and he won the penalty, of course, which Harry Kane converted, but not only that, Saka was just causing them all sorts of problems, and that matchup against Theo Hernandez, I think it was a mismatch, and Saka got the better of him every single time. I just don't understand why he was substituted, I think around the 80th minute for Sterling. I think that decision made no sense whatsoever. Yes, he had a bit of tired legs, but I still think Saka, every time he had the ball, he caused France problems, and he was the danger man in that game. But there you go, that was my midfield. Only returns from Saka and Paqueta, really, and you could argue with Ziyech with a 3-pointer, but in the end, quite underwhelming, and I've had better days when it comes to the midfield, especially I think in match days 3 and 4. I don't want to just say the same thing when it comes to Lionel Messi, but that pass for the Molina goal was incredible. You also have to give credit to Molina. I haven't seen enough, I think, being dished out, the touch, and then the quality of finish when Van Dijk's putting pressure on you. But the pass by Messi takes out 5 players from the game, including Virgil van Dijk. And honestly, no one expected it. No one in the stadium would have even said to Messi, go on, make the pass, because no one saw that pass except for him. He got a 9 points in the end. He got a yellow card, which prevented him from getting his first double-digit return in this World Cup, hopefully saving one for one of the next 2 games. But Lionel Messi has been exceptional in this tournament, probably the player of the tournament alongside the likes of Griezmann, Amrabat, Mbappe, etc. But Messi has just been the best and standout player for Argentina for sure, and he is making the difference in all these games. So let's see what he can do against Croatia. We'll talk more about this later on in this video, but Messi has been incredible once again. The other forward though, and very disappointing this time, was Kylian Mbappe, who produced an XG of exactly 0 against England. Kyle Walker did very well against him, but like I said earlier, it also opened up spaces for Griezmann, who I think England maybe underestimated a little bit, and also the likes of Giroud, who popped up with that all-important goal. But Kylian Mbappe for the semi-finals, and whatever happens with France, whether they reach the final or the third place playoff, Mbappe is probably the best option in the game for the next 2 match days. I believe I got a very small green arrow. I'm talking about a very minimal one here. I'm around 29,000 in the world, which is a decent rank. I've got 288 points overall, and I got 43 points in this match day. And it mainly comes down to the lucky clean sheet by Militao, also Bukayo Saka getting that penalty and having a great performance, getting the 5 points, the Paqueta transfer that I did on stream, and the main thing was captaining Lionel Messi, who is owned by like 70% of the game. I think 3/4 of the game actually own him. But not only that, you know, some people might have gone for Mbappe as their captain. Maybe they would have gone for Harry Kane or a few others like that, Neymar, who got a goal, but Messi got the goal and the assist. So he was the standout here from the kind of top options, the premiums that you kind of rely on typically. And I think that was the key difference for me. So that's how I did in match day 5. Not a great week. I think match day 4 was definitely the kind of standout for me so far in this competition. I'm hoping for better things, but to be honest, the way it's looking with so many eliminated players, I'm going to struggle in match day 6. So it's really about surviving and then going all out for match day 7, where we have the final and also the third place playoff. I said this in the wildcard video, it's very difficult to pinpoint 1 or 2 goalkeepers. We've got 4 goalkeepers to choose from: Martinez, Bono, Lloris and Livakovic. It's still very difficult to just pinpoint 1 or 2 goalkeepers. You could make a case for every single one of them, and I think most people would say Martinez is the best option, but honestly you could say that about any single one of them, to be honest. And I'm going to go for Lloris at the moment, just because I think Morocco lacked that quality in the final third. I know in this series a decent striker, I know they've got Ziyech, Boufal, Amrabat, but I still think that Morocco sometimes waste some of these chances, and France haven't kept a clean sheet in this tournament so far. They probably have the worst defence of the 4 teams remaining, but I think a clean sheet is due, and I think France will be a bit tighter at the back and they will pay respects to Morocco, and I think Lloris is able to keep the clean sheet here. But honestly, I would love to see Morocco reach the final. It'd be great, and maybe subconsciously I'm trying to jinx France, who knows, but I've gone for Lloris at the moment. It could easily be Martinez, Bono or Livakovic. Let me know your thoughts on the best goalkeeper. But as I discussed in the wildcard video, you also have to think about your choice of goalkeepers. So if you end up going for 2 goalkeepers that you think will reach the final, they're going to face each other in match day 7. So be aware of that. I'm not saying sacrifice match day 6 points and just go for someone you think is going to lose for one game just for the sake of having 2 different goalkeepers in match day 7. My point is just to be aware of that. You might need to make a transfer match day 7 with goalkeepers if your 2 goalkeepers end up reaching the final. That is all. I don't have that luxury. I will only be able to pick 1 goalkeeper. It's not worth taking a -3 hit in my case for 2 goalkeeper choices. I don't have any other choice than to stick with Nicolas Otamendi, who's had a great World Cup so far, and over the last few years he has been integral to Argentina. He's had a bit of a resurgence as well with Benfica in the Champions League. I'm going to go for him, but if you had to go for one Argentina defender or defensive coverage, I would highly recommend Molina. He got the assist against Poland. He also scored the first goal against the Netherlands, and also he is going to start for sure. Normally there's a bit of kind of rotation with Montiel from time to time depending on the opposition, but Montiel is suspended, so the other right back that could play there is Foyth, and I don't see that happening. So I would go for Molina if you wanted an Argentina defender. He is in here at the moment though. Otamendi, I don't have another choice. Now I was thinking about doubling up on Argentina defense with Molina and Otamendi, but I think I'm going to go for Hakimi, who to be honest plays in the best defense so far in this tournament, and there is some positive news I believe with Morocco, with the likes of Agurd, Mazraoui potentially coming back, and also Saiss, who looked like he had his World Cup done in the game against Portugal. Let's wait and see though. That would be great to see, by the way, if Morocco had their best choice defensive line against France, but to be honest, let's just wait and see what happens. Hakimi has the attacking potential, of course, but you could argue Saiss is even better because he's so good from set pieces. But with Hakimi, we all know him from PSG. He's gotten a lot of goals and assists. It would be great to see him get one against France, but to be honest, you could go for any of the defenders I have mentioned, or even Bono in goal, because Morocco have the best defence in this World Cup. Maybe a bit fortunate not to concede more goals so far, but they defend so well and they deserve to be where they currently are at. And the final defender won't be too much of a surprise, despite the fact that France probably have the worst defence, like I said so far, of the teams remaining, and that's Theo Hernandez, simply because of his attacking potential and also because I think France can keep a clean sheet against Morocco. But let's see how that game pans out, and you might completely disagree, and to be honest, you could even cover Croatia defensively, and I think the key kind of player there would be Juranovic, but you could also make a case for Gavardiol or Borna Sosa. So let me know your thoughts on the defensive line, but now let's move on to the midfielders. I'm looking for a Maverick player in the midfield, and I think Angel Di Maria fits the bill, but he might not even start. So we're going to check the lineups, of course, before the deadline, and we will see if Di Maria starts. Argentina have several options. They could play Paredes and play a 4-4-2. They could also go for Lisandro Martinez, like they did against the Netherlands, and play a 3-5-2, or go back to the traditional 4-3-3, and Angel Di Maria will start alongside Alvarez and Lionel Messi. So let's keep an eye on that. But if he starts, Di Maria is my guy. And then Ziyech will be, of course, kept in the team. I'm not going to get rid of him. And I need to do as much as I can to get to this 11. I need to take a -3 hit if I want a full 11. So let's just make that very clear. If I make just 5 free transfers, I will have 10 players, which, to be honest, isn't the worst thing in the world. But at the same time, I'd rather have options on my bench as well. So those of you that use transfers as well from Matchday 5, I believe it was, to then build your team for Matchday 6 and also from Matchday 4, I think that will go in your favor and you'll be able to just maximize your points for Matchday 6, which I'm going to struggle to do, to be honest. But Ziyech against France, I'm hoping for the best there. And the other two midfielders will be Perisic against Argentina. I think he is the best attacking player that Croatia have to offer, and not much more needs to be said. He has been historical for them, and he scored so many crucial goals, and he was a bit off against Brazil, but I would expect him to play better against us. And then you've got Modric against Argentina as well. He was incredible in the 3-0 victory in 2018 over Argentina, but two completely different teams from that point, and let's wait and see what this game has in store for us in the semi-finals of the World Cup. So that's what I'm going for at the moment, but I am considering maybe, instead of going for Modric, going for another defender, maybe Juranovic, or go for Molina. That's something I am kind of weighing up at the moment. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below, but this is a very solid midfield as well, and it's a very solid team up until this point. There'll be no debate about the front three. Lionel Messi's going to be in here. He's been in my team throughout the whole tournament. Every time I've captained him, he's done well. And he is a fantastic captaincy option once again, despite the fact that Croatia have only conceded 3 goals so far in this tournament. And they're such a tough cookie to crack. Then we've got Giroud, who would be another transfer in against Morocco. And like I said, Morocco can go through. I'm not going to be underestimating them. But at the same time, I still think France are the favourites. And also, they've got the better fantasy options, so to speak. And up front, I would rather have the likes of Giroud over Alvarez, who I've also considered, but I think Giroud is the best option at that price and below. And then finally, we all know who's going to be in here. He's been in my team for a long time as well. Kylian Mbappe, he's another great captaincy option, and honestly, any of this front three, you could easily put the armband on and they've got a good chance of hauling, despite the fact that they're going to be up against resolute defences and also underdogs that could go all the way in this competition. The bench actually isn't very important this time round because I've got a lot of eliminated players, so ignore Noppert, Guerrero, Saka and Paqueta. They probably will stay in my team. I'm not going to have the luxury of being able to have players on my bench to rely on, because otherwise I'd be taking something ridiculous like a -12 or -15 hit. So I'm not going to do that this time. I'm just going to stick with this 11, and like I said, there could be a few changes. Maybe the goalkeeper will be different. Maybe I'll go for another defender instead of Luka Modric, but I think the vast majority of this team will be as you see it. So I will probably have Otamendi, Theo Hernandez, Di Maria if he starts, Hakim Ziyech. This front three I'm definitely looking to target. Ivan Perisic is also already a confirmed transfer, but in terms of a few other details, that could change. Like I said, I could go for Juranovic instead of Modric in the starting 11 and switch to a 4-3-3, or I could also go for another Argentina defender like Molina, or go about things a little bit differently. But I think the most important thing when it comes to this team will be the captains, and it's also quite straightforward. My first captain will be Lionel Messi against Croatia. I don't think that's ever going to be in doubt, and that's what I did also going into match day 5, but in the end I changed to Richarlison, and that was mainly for jinxing purposes, I do admit. But the second captain, there will be no surprises here as well. It will be Kylian Mbappe against Morocco, but I'm also considering Giroud, like I said in my wildcard video. So this isn't going to be the strongest team you're ever going to see, but to get this with just a -3 here isn't the worst as well either, and it will cover most of the key options that wildcarders will be aiming for. But I also miss out on the luxury of maybe doubling or tripling up on certain defenses, and maybe I will suffer a little bit in match day 6, and I am expecting a red arrow. But match day 7 is where I think I could turn things around, because we're going to get 6 free transfers to use by that stage as well, and everyone that you see here in the starting 11 will still have a fixture in match day 7 because of the third place playoff, so it won't be the end of the world, and I should be able to have a 15-man squad by the final stages of this competition. But thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video or found it useful, be sure to smash the like button and subscribe for new. Let's try to get this over 300 likes, and let's also push on towards 20,000 subscribers. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram, DylanRCM. And you can also become a patron or a channel member. The links are in the description below. The same goes for the Discord server and the World Cup Fantasy League. So all of that is there. I wish you all the best of luck for this World Cup, and I hope you enjoy it. And I'll see you next time.